Hey guys, this is Mitchell with Hendrickson Family Farm. Today we're up here at the Okie Homesteading Expo in Pryor, Oklahoma, helping Dutch and Hidden Heights Farms. And what we're doing, I'm at the gate, running the gate. So when people pull in, I'm telling them they either pull forward if they prepaid, and if they haven't prepaid, then they'll take the pavement and go all the way to the end. Nina's inside. She is going to a chicken deal right now, and then she's doing something else. I don't remember what the other deal is that she's doing in there right now, but I'm sure she did take the GoPro, so there will be some footage of what she's doing in there. How are you guys doing today? Did you prepay?
My daughter prepaid.
Okay, did they prepay?
We just pull off right here, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Did you prepay? Yeah. Okay, then if you go straight ahead and they'll get a picture.
The inflators are like sticking outside, doesn't work so well, so I usually use these on her. This is a standard cow inflator, and it works really well on my goats as well. So that's usually what I use for most of them. I love this simple pulse because it connects, this is your air chamber, your pump, and it has a built-in pulsator, so you can hook up to your milk. And then this little top, there's little filters that go inside here, so it milks straight in and it filters for you. And then you got your nifty little carrying handle. You can bring your milk inside. You don't have to filter it. You can just literally put a cap on it, put it in the fridge, or you can pour it into half-gallon jars or disposable containers. If you do jars, I recommend these gray tops because they are leak-proof and they work really well. When you're using the pump, you want your pulsation at about 10 or 11, no more, as there's too much pressure. So for those of you that are just milking 1 or 2 goats, I recommend a stainless steel bucket with no rims. There's nothing to collect bacteria or anything nasty get into it. There's a lot of goat places online or other forms that you can shop around for a cheap little bucket. I didn't bring it, but they have these like cheesecloths that have elastic in them, so you can fold it over and just milk right into this, keep the flies out, keep any dirt or debris out of your milk. And this is my wash bucket. It's actually a soup bowl, and then we buy these disposable they're actually facial wipes, but they work really well, and they're pretty durable. They don't tear and fall apart when you get them wet. And then we put a little bit of soap. It really doesn't matter, whatever soap you want, in warm water for cleaning. So you got your milking equipment. Once you bring your milk in, if you do the bucket, you're gonna wanna filter the milk. This sits perfectly inside a half-gallon container. And then you'll have your filters, your filter discs like this. You can plop it in, and there's a ring that sits and holds that into place and pours it right into a half-gallon container. And then you can go ahead and just put that in your fridge. So I think I've covered all the equipment, and I probably talked much too fast. So do you want to try it? Do you have anything to add, or do you want to try getting them on stand?
No, I think we can try and get them on the stand. We milked both of these bills this morning, and they've already been milked out. But what I was going to say is, because this is basically a new arena for them, they may not be comfortable getting up on there. So they do go up on the stand. There's a little feeder tray up on the forward end.
that's at the bottom out. Oh, you know,
Where I put my boot doesn't.
he's not normally in the barn with me.
Wow. Wow. This is awesome. This is unfreaking believable. And Nugget, I was going to bring him, but the NSA wouldn't let him on the flight. TSA. Yeah. Woo. I do want to say this. I had dinner with Doug and Andy last night, and man, y'all have done a wonderful job with this whole event. I don't know if anybody's told y'all that or not, but this is awesome. Awesome. And I know it was an army of chickens, but there's no other way. This is incredible. Just unbelievable. No hiccups, well-oiled machine, and I cannot even imagine. I can't. I know Dutch. I know him. And I know what it takes to run a YouTube channel, and I know what it takes to try to build a house, and I just cannot imagine doing this on top of everything else you're doing, man. You're Superman. You are. That's crazy. I had somebody recently ask me, why don't we have one in Alabama? And I said, y'all crazy. There's no way. I would never do this. This is unbelievable, dude. Honestly. This is awesome. I guess most of y'all may know us. If you don't, we are Racheal Farm. We are recently bought 40 acres. We lived on 7.5 acres in central Alabama in a rural neighborhood. That's the best way I can explain it. And we started our little homestead, 15, 17 years ago. And as we grew, I love farming. And my 7.5 acres we had first part was in a neighborhood, and it was on a hill way up. It come down, and it come back up on the hill over here, and it was all woods. The bottom was wet. Cemetery was on 2 acres of it. The front 2 acres was on restriction, and we had restrictions on it because it was in the neighborhood. So we had about 3 acres that we actually farmed, right?
3 acres would be pushing it.
3 acres would be pushing it. I don't know if you watched our videos, it may be a little larger than that, but that's exactly what we did, and it was mostly woods. And I just got so passionate about farming, and I wanted to do it so bad. We couldn't move at the time, and so we started doing gardening, and then really wasn't a market for that. I kind of wanted to do a CSA. There wasn't a market for that. So then we started polling our friends and family with meat chickens. And just started testing the waters and see if that was going to work. Of course, you got Joel out there, Joel Salatin. I was getting pumped watching his stuff and seeing what he was doing. But I didn't have acres and acres and acres of pasture land. So Brooke had a friend of hers that she went to school with that was running a meat chicken farm on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama, in Bessemer, in a neighborhood.
In her front yard.
And was selling to a high-end food truck and catering service. And the catering service did Dick Saban's daughter's wedding. So that kind of tells you how big this catering service was. And she was doing all this in her front yard. She was even selling meat rabbits to the Hot Fish Club, which is Chris Hastings, who is a James Beard award-winning chef, in her city limits, and right outside Birmingham, Alabama, which was amazing. And so we were like, you know what? We can do this.
Well, I reached out to her and I asked if there was any way that we could come and visit her and see how she handled her operation. And lo and behold, she said yes. And Jason, Mary Carl, and myself, we drove up to Bessemer, Alabama, and when we pulled up, we thought we were in the wrong place. But she didn't tell me she was growing these things in her front yard.
Yeah.
So we pull up a big hill, up a driveway, and we stop at the chicken tractors. They're lined up in front of her house. And we get out before she even comes outside. We're like, we didn't know that this is what meat chickens were raised in. We had no idea. We were thinking you gotta have, she didn't have a pasture.
Yeah.
And so how's she doing this? Well, she comes out and she explains to us that she moves this little tractor daily and that she puts them on fresh ground and that she provides them with, feed 24/7 and they always have water. And that's basically all they needed, was as long as they could move, they were on fresh grass, they had feed, they could grow and meet her demand.
And it was her and her husband by themselves, and they were processing them themselves, so they were doing all that themselves. So we're like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna give it a shot.
Well, every state is different on the laws.
Yes.
Some say you have to have an enclosed building to process in. Some states say that you have to have a USDA processor to process them. Our state of Alabama is different, and you can process under 20,000 birds in your backyard.
Yeah, and be grandfathered in and not have to worry about USDA inspections. So that's two things that if you're interested in chicken farming or meat chicken farming, there's two things that you need to do first. Number one, call your state ag department because every state is different.
So are you telling me we could have parked in the front?
Huh?
Could we have parked in the front?
No, you have to be a vendor.
Oh,
Vendors park
gotcha.
here. And then if you haven't paid, you go that way, and if you prepaid, then you go that way.
Oh, I see. I'm recording you.
I know you are. I could tell by holding the camera. How are you doing today? All right.
Babe, I thought he was gonna run over your toe. It was real close. Oh.
It has been non-stop. It's been a pretty good, pretty popular event. There's a lot of people here. And I didn't get to walk around very long inside, but I did see Rustic Woodworks. Fowler Farm is parked right over there. I don't know where Mike is at, but I was looking for him earlier. I will try to find him because I did want to talk to him. So I did talk to his wife inside. So earlier I did get a couple pictures with Brandy and Dutch. They were by themselves, and then Racheal from Hidden Heights Farms, and then Daniel Arms and Houston Arms. I took a picture with both of those guys earlier. There's some guys that I watch on YouTube. I'll put some pictures in the video here so you guys can see it. But it was pretty cool getting to meet them guys. I didn't get to talk to them about another event or an event coming up the next year. I will try to get in there and talk to Dutch or Kevin. I have not seen Kevin yet. They said he was frying a pig. So when I get done with my shift out here at the gate, I'll go in there and I'll try to find Kevin and talk to him, and maybe he can tell me about an event next year, or maybe even if I run into Walker Farm Fam, any like Cassie or Gary, one of those guys.
So I don't know if it was my fault. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming the razor, but it slipped out apart somehow, and it starts to roll backwards. And as it rolls backwards, I'm trying to figure out how to get back in it or what. It's just picking up speed, and eventually it knocks me down. So I'm laying on the ground. I look back, and we just came up a trail. No big deal. We've done it a bunch, but without a driver, that razor's rolling downhill in reverse, out of control.
For our kids, we wanted them to live on a farm, the same life that we had growing up. We didn't inherit any land; we had to buy it, and that the sacrifice was worth it. We did what we had to do, and now we're getting closer every day to being completely debt free.
We side hustle. I I worked a full-time job, 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. We raised meat chickens on the side. We had a flea market booth on the side. We put houses on the side. What else? We raised pigs. We did a lot. A YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel on the side. I started a podcast on the side, and I was doing all this, and we were saving all of it. So we did a ton of side hustle. It was a lot of work. It was 16-hour days almost, but that's how we got out of debt. Yep, and we're completely debt free now.
I am very blessed and fortunate. I live on the property that I grew up on, and still live in the same house that I grew up in. My dad passed away in 2005, so I inherited that place. But we were by no means debt free. We were living a normal life, had 2 cars, and all the different things that were debts, and bought another house in town that we let my wife's grandma live in, and different things. So we had quite a bit of debt, but we were never like they were never in trouble, like debt trouble, but by any means. But I got really interested in audiobooks when I was working. When I was sitting in a patrol car for 10 hours a day, I would have audiobooks just going all the time, and I got into all these financial audiobooks and Dave Ramsey, all of Dave Ramsey's books, and then got into all of his, YouTube videos basically, and was like, this stuff really makes sense. You got all these bills stacking up and one paycheck coming in. So I was like what Jason said, with the side hustles and all the different things, and YouTube becoming from a hobby to a side hustle to a full-time career basically, and all of the different things you can do with an audience is mind-blowing. And obviously companies want to jump on board with that when you have an audience. It just makes sense for everybody all the way around. But I just kind of changed my mindset. It's a mindset shift. I've never gone through Dave Ramsey's course, but I've listened to everything he's ever put out, and it's a mindset. So once you finally make up your mind that I don't want to live in debt, I don't want to live with all this, you'll do whatever it takes. You'll live in a tent, or you'll spend 3 years flipping houses to do whatever it takes. But until you change your mind, until you make up your mind and say, I'm not living like this anymore, there's really nothing anybody can do to change it.
Like this, I'm gonna probably, a lot of you guys probably have debt, and maybe you're thinking about buying some property and you have to go into debt for that. I don't think we're not telling you to go get debt to do that, but also you only got one shot at this, right? We took out a mortgage to our first property, and that's what normal people do, right? Not everyone can start off debt free like they talked about. So don't let this be an encouragement. Like if you have a lot of debt, like we used to have a lot of, not like a lot, but we had debt. And then me and Daniel started talking about things that he talked about, and that got me motivated to start paying off that little bit of debt, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. So if you're in that situation like we were, just start small. It's kind of like Dave Ramsey does, right? You start small and snowball effect. Just do that. Start with one thing. And if it's credit card bills, if you have 5 credit cards and you're maxed out, you get one of them paid off, and then get rid of that credit card and move on to the next one. You guys say that?
How fun is it to be on YouTube?
It has. YouTube's a roller coaster, not just in staff, but you guys can agree with that, right? It's ups and downs, ups and downs. Sometimes it's really, really fun, and sometimes it's not so much fun. And it just ups and downs, man.
It makes Jason dance.
This is Brandy, my lovely wife, and Kevin. We want to thank you guys for coming out. We're going to hang out for the next hour. We have to be out of here by 5 o'clock. So stay till 5 and leave. You can stay home. You got to be able to go by 5. You ain't got to go home, but you can stay here. Yeah. But we want to thank everyone that helped us. You guys know who you are. We couldn't have done it without you. Keep the same.
We just want to thank every one of you guys that have showed up today for our first event. It is very humbling. I'm going to cry. I can't talk on this, I'll cry. We are so blessed. We've been blessed with great friends, great subscribers, great community. Everybody showed up. We made some amazing friends along the way. We could not have done this without all of you, God, and all of our amazing volunteers. So we just want to thank everybody that showed up for us today.
Daniel, Jason, we appreciate you guys coming. All our speakers, thank you guys so much. You guys did us a big favor. All these people got to meet you guys probably for the first time. So I'm sure they're happy to. So we can just, this is the first time you meet Jason? There you go. So we can just mingle, have fun, take pictures, do whatever you guys want. Thanks for coming.
Real quick before we break up, I'd like to thank everyone, Dutch and Kevin. They saw this vision of this Okie Expo that we didn't see and built a team together, and this thing was, I think, exceeded our expectations. So it was great. Thanks, Dutch, Kevin.